Hi everyone, it's Kyra, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Cricut and how we can master using the Cricut to elevate our creativity. Okay, so first and foremost, what is a Cricut? So the Cricut is a cutting machine. It can cut different materials like paper or vinyl, sticker paper. Some of them can even cut wood and fabric. So it's a pretty cool machine that works in conjunction with an app that we'll talk about, the Cricut Design Space, and your technology of choice, so a tablet or a computer. And it's basically a crafting tool to make different projects. So there are two parts to the Cricut that we focus on. So there's the digital part, which is making your project with the Cricut Design Space and getting the shapes already, figuring out what layers you want so that you can make your project. And then there's the machine portion, which is where you're loading different paper. So you're loading the paper onto the mat and pushing the start button so that it will cut out the shape that's on your computer. So Cricut Design Space is an app and it's free to download. It can be used on a computer or a tablet. I find it easier on the computer, but I have used it on my iPad before, and it connects with Bluetooth. It can be used with images. You can upload like SVG or JPEG, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. Your first step with this would be gathering your images. There's different shapes and fonts that are available in the program, but Google will be your best friend for finding images to work with, because a lot of the images that are in the program are not free. Simple images that usually have a transparent background works best, and this is where SVGs come in. It's a scalable vector image, which really just means it's only the image. There's no background or anything, and it's not that big of a deal. It just makes it easier for what you want to do. Image that we're going to be using today, for example, is not. So I'll show you that it's totally doable. So to find my image, I went to Google and I Googled mushroom SVG. I didn't even use a SVG, but most of the time this will give you a pretty simple image. You want to be a little more specific. You go into tools and then go to color and then transparent. It's going to give you those files that have a little less work for you to do. So the image that I found is a mushroom. And as you can see, this white border here, that's the background. And that's totally okay. We're going to remove it in the Cricut software. So if it didn't have a background, it would be one less step. Okay, so this is the Cricut Design Space. This is what it always looks like when you start a new project. So we've got new, that's how you open a new canvas. Templates, these are things that are already made. Most of them cost money, so I don't use those too much. Same with projects. These are things that people have made, and usually they cost money or you need a subscription. These are the shapes that already come with it. And then there's some that aren't free down here. Those would cost money or you need a subscription. So like I said, you could use some of these images to make a shape that you want, like a phone, a Game Boy, different things like that that are like simple shapes. Images, these also cost money, so I don't use this too much. Text, when you click text, it puts a text box here. You can type whatever you want, and you'll see it has the same font settings as like Word or other programs that you're probably familiar with. For fonts, there's Cricut, System, and Bookmark. Cricut fonts you'll see usually cost money, $4.99 to use this font. I will show you later how to download custom fonts, but those will be on your system. So these are system fonts and they're free. And see, it changed your font. Those also cost money, as well as editable images. So what we're gonna go to is upload. You can see that I've already uploaded certain things here, simple images that I've used on other projects. So you're gonna go to upload image, browse. I'm going to pick my photo, and you'll see it'll give you 3 image options. And basically you're picking how many colors are in your image that you're gonna need to differentiate from. So you'll see if I click simple, it's giving me 2 colors. Well, that doesn't really work for this because I need the base of the mushroom. Moderately complex doesn't really help me, so complex, even though it isn't, it gives me all the colors that I need. So I'm going to click on that, continue, and you'll see here we have our image and we have a couple options over here on the side. So select, this will give you a plus sign, and when you click on a color, it will erase it. So see these squares now? That means that it's transparent. There's no background. Same with this image of this flower on the side. You'll see that side is transparent. So you do this, up here it'll say preview cut image, and this is what it will look like when you put a piece of paper on the machine and you have it cut it out. So you'll see that there's a little mark here from my screenshot. So I'm just going to go to the eraser down here. You can change the size of it, and I'm just going to erase that. So I just have the base of the mushroom. I want this to be one piece, all one color. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this and continue. You'll see it'll show you what your shape looks like. You can name it over here. I'm just going to name it mushroom base. And I'm going to upload that. I click on it and add it to my canvas, and you'll see it will load in. So that's my base of my mushroom. However, we need the cap of the mushroom. So we're going to upload image, browse, select our same photo. And this time I only want the red part, so I can click on simple, and that's going to make it a lot easier for me, because I'll just go to select and I'll click the beige orange color wherever I don't want there to be something. And so all around here, there won't be anything. And in these holes, it will be that base color. And I'll show you in a minute. So we're going to preview that image. Looks good to me. Apply. We're going to put mushroom cap, and we're going to upload. So we have our image. We're going to add it to our canvas, and you'll see it will load in with the other image. So these are black, and whatever paper you put on the mat, that's what color it's going to be. But sometimes it can be a little helpful to change the color in the program so you can see what's happening. So for this base, I'm going to go up here to this little square, and I'm going to make it white, and I'm going to click on the cap, do the same thing, but make it red. So now it looks like the actual paper that I'm going to choose for that. And this just helps you visualize it a little more. So I'm going to put it like this. And so this is what it would look like when I stack the white cutout and the red cutout. And so if I click the white cutout and I change this color to blue, you'll see the spots are blue now because that back piece of paper is going to show through. So, and like I said, this coloring doesn't matter. This is just so you can visualize it. So we've got this. You'll see over here, we've got our layers panel, and this is important because this is how the layers are stacked up. So if you want to see how something looks, so you'll see here the red mushroom cap is above the mushroom base. If I click on the mushroom cap and I pull it below, it's below there now. So however it is in the layers panel is how it's going to show you over here. You can also click on these little eyeballs to close them, which turn it off, can't see it, or open them to see it. So we have the rulers up here, and these squares are just in inches. We're cutting on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, so we don't want it to be any bigger than that. So it's 8.5 by 11, so the biggest I would go is 8, just because it's going to shift over a little bit. You'll notice there's a little white right here, so I'm just going to shrink down this base by grabbing this little square and dragging it. That way, when I glue them together, because I'll put glue all right here, it won't be as hard to match up, I guess. So I'm going to do this. Then when you're all done with that, you're going to click Make It. This is going to show you what it will look like on the mats. So you'll see we have 2 different colors. We're going to be using 2 different colors of paper, so it kind of organizes it in different mats like that. For material size, we're going to do 8.5 by 11, and that's going to show you what it looks like on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So you push continue, And this is going to send the information from the app to the machine. So now we're going to talk about setting up the machine. The Cricut comes with 3 parts: the machine itself, the power cord that plugs into the wall, and a cord that has a USB to plug into your device. If you're using your iPad, it will connect with Bluetooth and it will find the machine and the power button will turn blue. You don't have to do too much except make sure your Bluetooth's on. Then on the back of the machine, there's 2 spots, one for the power cord and one for the cord that goes into your computer. Once your computer is hooked up with the cord, it will pop up with the options of what material you want to use. So you see right now it's on cardstock. If we turn this to vinyl, it will update on the program. So then it wants you to load the tools and the materials. Our blade is already in, that's the silver thing right here. And so we're going to load the material. As you'll see, the light is flashing. This is a Cricut mat, and this is what you're going to use to stick the paper to it and put it in the machine. So every Cricut mat has this clear cover on it, and this is what protects this from dust and other weird things sticking to it when it's stored. So it's really important to keep track of this piece of plastic. The mat is sticky. When it's brand new, it's very sticky, but over time it will lose its stickiness. So it's important to take care of them, make sure that no paper is sticking to them, and if it gets really dirty, you can wash it a time or two, and if you have a question about that, you can reach out to me about how to do that. In the design we're cutting out today, we're going to have a piece of white paper and a piece of red paper for our mushroom. Put the paper on the mat and make sure it's stuck down really well. When you're cutting something, you want to make sure you have space in front and in back for the mat to go in and out so that it can cut properly. Once you're ready to load your mat, you're going to notice that there are 2 feet. So this is a little foot and this is a little foot. And you want your mat to go underneath both of those feet. So once it's under both of those feet, you're gonna hold it to the bar and then you're gonna push the load button and it will pull it into the machine. We're not gonna use fast mode, but we could if we want. It doesn't make too big of a difference. And now we're gonna push the Cricut button to get started. Our base is cut out and you'll see the light is flashing again for you to unload it. Once you push this button, it will spit it out of the machine. Once you have your cutout, you're going to want to get this off of the mat. If you pull the paper up, it will bend the paper and you don't want this to be bent. So I would recommend flipping it over and peeling the mat off of the paper because these are pretty bendy and that way it won't bend your paper. Now that both of our pieces are cut out and I have some residue on here, I can just peel them up, or you can use an old card and gently scrape them off. Now that we have both of our pieces cut out, we're ready to assemble our project. And as you can see, the white shows through the holes. So I'm gonna flip this over and I'm gonna take my glue tape, which is a double-sided tape. You could also use glue or anything else that you have. And I'm just gonna put it on the part that's going to be attached to the white. Now that we have both of our pieces ready, I'm going to stick this on carefully. I'm going to run it everywhere I put that tape, I'm gonna rub it in. This is what your finished cutout will look like. And so this makes it so you don't have to glue on tiny white dots, but it still gives you that effect of having a detail. Now I'm going to show you a little bonus information of how to download your own fonts on your computer. So first thing you're going to do is go to thefont.com. These are the recently added fonts. You can look through those, or there's a ton of different categories and themes at the top, depending on what you're looking for. So for this purpose, I'm gonna click on Groovy, and you'll see these, and you can preview your text here. So say you want to say like welcome, submit. You can see what it looks like in that font. So I like this first one, super fun time. So I'm gonna click download. You'll see right here, it says 100% free. This one says free for personal use. Personal use just means you can't sell something that has that font on it. This one says 100% free, so you could click on that and find out more, but for our purposes, we can use pretty much all of these fonts. It's gonna download to your computer. So it's gonna come up as a file that says .ttf or OTF, and this just stands for true typeface or open typeface. You don't really need to know what that means. On any computer, pretty much, you can double click and it's going to bring this up. It's going to show you all the characters that it comes with, which is important too. Like if you want an exclamation point, not all fonts have one. So this shows you what it is, and we're going to install it. So once you install it, it's on your computer. I'm gonna make it really big. And then I'm going to look for this font, which was called Super Fun Time. Oh, yep. Okay, so you'll see it's right here. And so when you're on your Cricut and you go to those system settings, you'll be able to find the font. If you can't find the font, you might want to close the app and reopen it because it doesn't update as fast as Word does.